Welcome to the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu.
It's great to be back.
For most of these deep dives, we're looking outward. We're dissecting market trends. We're breaking down new technologies, complex business
All
strategies.
the external stuff, the
But
mechanics of business.
exactly. But today, we're doing something a little different. We're turning the lens inward. We're going to take a really deep dive into the mind of the solopreneur.
Which is such a unique place to be.
It really is. It's this specific, exhilarating, and, let's be honest, often incredibly lonely journey of building a business of one.
It's a whole different psychological landscape, isn't it? I mean, if you're in a big company, you have a team, you have a buffer. There's a sort of safety in numbers.
Right.
But when you're a solopreneur, it's just you. You and the laptop against the world.
Totally. There's no HR department to, boost your morale. There's no manager to say, hey, don't worry about that. We'll figure it out next quarter.
You are the entire C-suite and the intern all at once.
Exactly. If the ship goes down, you're the captain, the crew, and the only passenger. So to help us navigate all of that, we're looking at a classic piece of work, but through a very specific modern lens. We are unpacking the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu's summary of Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers.
Such a fascinating choice for our source material. The book itself, it was published way back in 1987.
Ancient history in business terms.
It really is. That's pre-internet as we know it, pre-smartphone, certainly pre-social media.
Yeah.
Feels like a different universe. But the way the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu analyzes it is specifically for entrepreneurs, for solopreneurs operating right now.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Why does a book from the era of shoulder pads and big hair still have anything to say to a SaaS founder or freelance consultant today?
Because the one thing that hasn't changed is our biology. The tech changes, the algorithms change, the platforms are completely different, but the hardware inside our skulls.
The old wetware.
Yeah, the amygdala, the nervous system, it's exactly the same. The fear response that kept our ancestors from being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger is the exact same mechanism that stops a graphic designer from raising their rates.
Or a developer from hitting publish on their new app.
It's the same impulse. Danger, retreat, stay safe.
That makes so much sense. Fear is the one operating system we just can't uninstall.
Right.
Okay, so before we really get into the nitty-gritty, and we have a lot of ground to cover, let's lay out the roadmap for everyone listening. We're treating this like an executive summary for your brain. What's the mission for this deep dive?
So we've structured this whole discussion into 6 key parts, really mirroring the breakdown in the guide. First up, we're going to look at what's called the 3-level framework of fear.
Okay.
This is basically diagnostics. We need to figure out what specifically is paralyzing you. Is it really the economy? Or is it something deeper, something inside?
And after that, we move into the 5 truths about fear. No. This was the section that really, really grabbed me when I was going through the source material.
It's up powerful stuff.
It basically argues that everything we think about confidence is backward. We think we need to feel confident before we can act, but the guide says that's a trap.
It's the ultimate trap for entrepreneurs. We'll get into why waiting for confidence means you'll be waiting forever. Then, in section 3, we'll dive into the power vocabulary.
So linguistics.
Exactly. It's all about how changing a single word like swapping I can't for I won't can actually rewire how your brain processes risk and choice.
I love that. After that, we get into what feels like the tough love section, taking total responsibility.
Yeah, this one can sting a little. It's all about removing blame. Blaming the market, blaming the algorithm, blaming your clients, and reclaiming your power by doing so.
Right. Then section 5 is resilience systems, which sounds very practical.
It is. We'll talk about how to program your subconscious so you aren't fighting yourself every single morning when you wake up.
And finally, section 6 is the action plan, because we don't want you to just walk away from this feeling inspired.
We want you to walk away with a concrete checklist. Things you can do today.
Perfect. I think the tone we want to set here, and this comes straight from the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu, is that fear isn't the enemy. That seems to be the biggest misconception we see, especially in the solopreneur world.
Oh, absolutely. We think if we're feeling fear, we must be doing something wrong, or we're not cut out for this.
Yeah, we see it as a stop sign.
Right. But the guide argues that fear is actually a companion. It's a signal. It's telling you that you are right at the edge of your possibility. If you're not feeling any fear, you're probably just repeating what you already know how to do.
You're stagnating.
You're not growing.
Fear as a GPS for growth. I really like that framing.
Right.
Okay, let's jump in. Section 1, understanding entrepreneurial fear and this 3-level framework. the source material kicks off with a really bold claim. It says fear kills more businesses than market downturns.
It's a statistic you'll never see reported in, the Wall Street Journal because it's impossible
Yeah.
to measure. But just think about it anecdotally.
Right.
We often look at a startup that failed and the postmortem says, oh, they ran out of cash or the market wasn't ready. But if you dig just one layer deeper, why did they run out of cash?
Well, usually because they didn't sell enough or they didn't get the next round of funding.
Exactly. But why didn't they sell enough? Often it's because the founder was too afraid to pick up the phone and make cold calls. Or they were too afraid to pivot the product when the initial data looked bad, because that would mean admitting they were wrong.
Or they were too afraid to launch an imperfect MVP.
Yes. So they burned through all their cash polishing a product nobody actually wanted. The cash flow problem was the symptom, but the disease was fear.
That is a very sobering thought. Okay, so Jeffers, in the book, breaks this all down into 3 levels. Let's start at the surface. Level 1.
Level 1 is where most of us live. It's the story we tell our friends, our spouse, our business coach, and it splits into 2 distinct categories.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, you have the things that happen. These are the big external forces.
The boogeyman.
Exactly. The market crashes. A global pandemic shuts down the world. Your main competitor launches a feature that makes your core product obsolete.
Or for a solopreneur today, it's, what if AI makes my copywriting business redundant next year?
That's a huge one. And the behavior the guy points out here is so interesting. When we're faced with these happen fears, what do we instinctively do? We try to predict them away.
The research.
We become obsessive researchers. We think, if I just read enough articles on TechCrunch, if I just listen to enough podcasts, if I doom scroll X for long enough, I'll be able to see the future and control the uncontrollable.
It's a false sense of control.
It's a total safety mechanism. We trade action for information gathering, thinking it makes us safer, but really it just makes us more anxious and keeps us stuck.
Okay, and what's the second category of level 1?
The second category is action fear. So these are not things happening to you, these are things you have to do.
The items on the to-do list that you keep pushing to tomorrow.
Precisely. Pitching an investor, firing a freelancer who's a really nice person but just isn't delivering, raising your prices on your loyal long-term clients.
And the big one, launching the thing.
The fear of shipping. And the behavior here isn't research. It's procrastination disguised as perfectionism.
I just need to tweak the website copy one more time.
I just need to fix this one tiny bug that nobody will ever notice. You are delaying the action because the action itself is what triggers the fear.
The source material uses a classic case study here that I think is perfect for illustrating this because it's so easy to forget how terrifying their idea was at the beginning. Airbnb, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia.
It's the ultimate example because they were facing the absolute maximum setting of both happen and action fears. It's almost comical.
Let's break it down. Let's start with the happen fear, the external context. They were trying to get this off the ground around 2008.
The Great Recession. The entire financial world was actively melting down. People were losing their homes, their jobs. Travel budgets were the first thing to get slashed to zero.
So if you were just looking at the external data, the things that happen.
It was the single worst possible time in modern history to try and start a travel company. All the signals said, stop, do not proceed.
But then you layer on the action fears. I mean, we have to remember how insane the core concept sounded back then.
Oh, completely insane.
Today, we hop in an Uber, we stay in an Airbnb, we don't even think about it. But back then, the pitch was, hey, we want you to let complete strangers from the internet pay to sleep on an air mattress in your living room.
It sounded dangerous. It sounded creepy. It went against everything our parents taught us about stranger danger. They had to pitch this idea to investors who just looked at them like they had 3 heads.
Imagine the number of rejections they faced.
It was constant. At one point, they were literally designing and selling novelty cereal boxes, Obama O's, and Captain McCain's just to keep the lights on.
That's insane.
So if they had let those level 1 fears stop them, either the fear of the crashing economy or the fear of taking the crazy action of pitching this idea, Airbnb simply would not exist. They had to act in spite of all the evidence.
But this is where the 1-hour guide by Anil Nathu really starts to peel back the onion, because we can talk about market fear all day, but that's just the surface story. Level 2 is where it gets personal.
Yes. Level 2 is the ego.
And what does that mean?
Level 2 cuts deeper because it's not about the business failing anymore. It's about you failing. It involves your inner state of mind, your sense of self.
The source identifies a few different flavors of this. The most obvious one is fear of rejection.
Right. Nobody likes hearing no. It's a primal fear of being cast out of the tribe.
But then there's one that seems counterintuitive. the fear of success.
Hmm.
Now, hang on. I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. Why on earth would a solopreneur, someone who is grinding 80 hours a week to make this thing work, be afraid of success? Isn't that the entire point of the exercise?
You'd think so. And consciously, it is. But subconsciously, think about what success actually means for a solopreneur. It means visibility.
People are looking at you.
People are looking at you. If you get 10,000 users, suddenly 10,000 people have expectations of you. The pressure mounts intensely.
The stakes get higher.
Exactly. The voice in your head starts saying, what if I can't keep this up? What if they find out I'm just making this up as I go along?
That's imposter syndrome right there.
That's the core of it. Success removes your ability to hide in obscurity. And that's terrifying.
That's the vulnerability aspect the guide talks about, being exposed as a fraud.
Yes. And the guide makes a really profound point here. It says that the founder who refuses to show their beta product to customers, the one who keeps it in stealth mode for years, they'll tell you they're worried about quality.
The UI isn't polished enough yet. It's not ready for prime time.
But deep down, 9 times out of 10, that's a level 2 fear talking. They are protecting their ego from rejection. Because if I don't show you my work, you can't tell me it's bad.
And if you can't tell me my work is bad, then my identity as a visionary entrepreneur is safe.
It's perfectly preserved in a state of potential. It's so much easier to be a potential success in your own head than it is to be a public failure out in the real market.
Wow. That hits hard. You're protecting your ego at the direct expense of your business's survival.
It's a terrible trade, but we make it all the time.
But we're not at the bottom yet. We have to go one level deeper, down to the basement, level 3, the root cause.
This is the core insight of the entire book. Jeffers argues that all those other fears we've talked about, level 1 market crashes, level 2 rejection, public embarrassment, going bankrupt, they all boil down to one single primal sentence.
Okay, what's the sentence?
I cannot handle it.
That's it. I cannot handle it.
That's the bottom line of everything. Just think it through. If you knew with 100% absolute metaphysical certainty that if you pitched an investor and they laughed you out of the room, you could handle it, would you still be afraid to make the pitch?
No. I mean, it would sting. It wouldn't be pleasant. But if I knew deep down that I'd be okay, that I'd recover, yeah, I'd do it.
Of course you would. If you knew that if your business went completely to zero, you could handle the bankruptcy, handle telling your family, get a job, bounce back, and eventually be happy again. Would you be paralyzed by the financial risk?
No, probably not. The paralysis comes from the catastrophic thinking. The idea that if this one thing happens, my life is over. I am destroyed.
Right. I will be broken. I won't be able to cope. That is level 3 fear. It's not a fear of the event. It's a fear that you lack the internal resources to survive the event.
So the big aha moment that the 1-hour guide by Anil Nathu is really driving at here is about shifting the internal narrative. It's about changing the question from what if I fail to an assertion.
To the assertion, I can handle it if I fail.
That is the shift.
It changes the entire game. You stop trying to control the external world, which is level 1. You stop trying to protect your fragile ego, which is level 2.
Yeah.
And you focus all your energy on building trust in yourself, which is level 3.
The guide suggests a really practical application for this, an exercise called the fear inventory. I think we should walk the listener through this because it's something you can do right now.
It's simple, but incredibly powerful. You take out a piece of paper or open a new note on your phone, and you list every single fear that is stopping you in your business right now. Be brutally specific.
Not just fear of sales.
No, I'm afraid to post my real opinion on LinkedIn because my old boss might see it and judge me. I'm afraid to ask my best client for a referral because they might think I'm desperate and lose respect for me.
Okay, so I've got my list. It's probably pretty long.
Now, go through it line by line. First, categorize them. Is this an external level 1 fear? Is this an ego-based level 2 fear? And then for every single one, you ask the ultimate level 3 question. If this actually happens, can I handle it?
And if you're really, really honest with yourself, the answer is almost always yes.
Almost always. You might be embarrassed for a week. You might have to eat ramen noodles for a month. You might have to have an awkward conversation. But you will still be standing. You can handle it.
There's a great example of this mindset in action from Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn. He has that famous quote,
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
"If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late."
I love that quote because it is pure level 3 mastery. It's not just a clever quip.
Break that down for us. How is that level 3?
He isn't saying launch a crappy product because quality doesn't matter. That's not the point. He's saying, I trust my ability to handle the embarrassment. He knew, fundamentally, that the learning he would get from launching an imperfect product early was worth more than the potential hit to his ego.
He knew he could handle the criticism.
He knew he could handle the bug reports, the negative comments, the people saying this is dumb. He trusted his ability to iterate and improve. He wasn't trying to appear perfect. He was trying to learn as fast as possible.
And that really is the solopreneur superpower, isn't it? Speed over perfection, fueled by the deep-seated knowledge that you can handle the bumps along the way.
That's it in a nutshell.
Okay, this is a great foundation. So we've diagnosed the fear, we understand the different levels. Now, let's move into section 2. The 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu outlines what it calls the 5 truths about fear. And these are presented almost like laws of physics for the entrepreneur's mind.
Yeah, you can't really hack them or get around them. You just have to accept them.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's actually incredibly liberating because they normalize what you're feeling.
Let's start with truth number 1. Fear never goes away as long as you grow. I have to admit, I hate this truth. I think we all have this fantasy. I know I do. That one day when I hit a certain revenue number or when I have a certain number of clients or my brand is big enough, the fear will just evaporate. I'll just be this zen, confident business tycoon.
It's the arrival fallacy. The idea that when I make it, I'll finally be fearless. But the reality is, successful entrepreneurs aren't fearless. They are just terrified on a much higher level.
New levels, new devils.
Precisely. The source uses the journey of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, as a perfect illustration of this. When she first started, her fear was very immediate, very level 1 and 2.
Like what?
Cold calling the head buyer at Neiman Marcus, trying to get a meeting, walking into a boardroom full of men to sell them on, women's pantyhose. That was terrifying.
But she did it. She pushed through. She handled it.
She did. But did the fear stop when she got into stores? No. Then she had a new fear. Manufacturing at scale. She had to put her entire life savings, every penny she had, into inventory. That's a new, bigger fear.
And now she's a billionaire.
And now, as a billionaire, she has fears about legacy, about managing a huge company, about public scrutiny, about her investments. The fear didn't leave. The stakes just got higher and higher.
So the takeaway is, if you're waiting for the fear to go away before you start your business,
you will be waiting until you are in the grave. That is the only time fear truly disappears. As long as you are stretching your capabilities, pushing your boundaries, fear will be present. It is the cost of admission for growth.
Which leads us directly into truth number 2. The only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to do it.
This one creates so much friction for analytical people. And let's face it, a lot of solopreneurs are analytical. We love to plan, we love our spreadsheets, we love our business model canvases.
We think we can de-risk everything with enough planning.
We think if we can just plan for every single variable, every contingency, the fear of uncertainty will vanish. But Jeffers argues, and modern entrepreneurial theory like the lean startup completely agrees, that action's the only true antidote.
You can't think your way out of fear?
You can't theory-craft bravery. If you're afraid of making sales calls, reading 10 books about sales calls won't make the fear go away.
It might even make it worse.
It might. The only thing that will diminish the fear is actually making the call. Because once you do it, the mystery is gone. You realize, oh, that was it. They just said no and hung up. I didn't die. The reality is almost always less scary than the horror movie that's been playing in your head.
Truth number 3 connects directly to this, and I think this is the most critical one for the learner type of entrepreneur we have listening. The only way to feel better about yourself is to go out and do it. This really gets at the confidence paradox.
The paradox is this. We all say, I'll launch my product when I feel more confident, or I'll start my YouTube channel once I feel confident on camera.
We see confidence as a prerequisite for action.
Exactly. But the truth is the complete opposite. Confidence is not a prerequisite. Confidence is a result of action.
So we have the entire equation backward in our heads.
Completely backward. The real formula is you act, you survive the action, then you gain confidence. You don't get a magical injection of confidence and then act. It doesn't work that way.
The source uses Drew Houston from Dropbox as the perfect example here. I love this story because it's so beautifully scrappy.
It's the ultimate MVP story. Drew Houston didn't wait until he had a perfectly coded, bug-free, infinitely scalable cloud storage platform with server farms all over the world.
I mean, the fear of failure on a project that massive would be completely paralyzing.
Totally. So what did he do instead? He made a video. A simple 3-minute screencast, narrated by him, just showing what Dropbox would do. It was a simulation.
A ghost of a product.
Exactly. And it was full of inside jokes for the tech community on Dig and Hacker News. He posted it there.
So he took a very small, low-risk action.
He did. And the response was immediate and overwhelming. The beta wait list went from something like 5,000 people to 75,000 people overnight.
Wow.
That action, just pasting a simple video, generated the validation. That validation gave him the confidence he needed to go out and raise the money and build the actual complex technology.
Right.
If he had waited for the confidence first, he might still be coding in a darkroom somewhere.
That's such a key lesson for every solopreneur. Action generates data. And data is what generates real confidence, not wishful thinking. Okay, truth number 4 is a bit of a relief, to be honest. Everyone is afraid.
It sounds so simple, but for a solopreneur, it is profound. When you're sitting alone in your home office at 11 p.m. scrolling through LinkedIn, it's so easy to imagine that everyone else has it figured out.
That the VC you're about to pitch is some stoic, fearless god of finance, or that your competitor who just raised a Series A is a genius who never has a moment of doubt.
Their websites are so polished, their headshots look so confident.
Yeah.
But that's all just marketing. That's a performance. The reality is the VC is afraid of their limited partners. They're terrified of backing a flop and looking stupid. They're afraid of missing out on the next big thing. Your competitor is afraid their churn rate is too high and they won't be able to raise their next round.
So my fear isn't a sign that I'm broken or not cut out for this.
No, it's just a sign that you're in the arena. It's the human condition. It's universal.
And finally, truth number 5. This one is heavy. Pushing through is less frightening than helplessness.
This is about comparing two different types of pain. And as humans, we were really bad at this kind of long-term calculus.
What do you mean?
On one hand, you have acute fear. That sharp spike of adrenaline when you click publish on a blog post or walk onto a stage to give a talk. It's intense, it's scary, it makes your palms sweat.
But it's temporary.
It's temporary, it passes. On the other hand, you have the chronic, dull ache of helplessness, the feeling of being stuck, the what if that haunts you at 2 in the morning, the feeling of knowing you have this potential inside you, but you're not using it.
That sounds like the definition of regret.
It is regret. And Jeffers argues very convincingly that the acute fear of acting is actually far less scary over the course of a lifetime than the slow spiritual death of never trying.
Choosing the sharp, temporary pain of growth over the dull, permanent pain of stagnation.
Exactly. And the source actually suggests a physical exercise for this. To write these 5 truths down, literally put them on, post it on your bathroom mirror, put them on the dashboard of your car.
It sounds a bit like, self-help fluff, doesn't it? Affirmations on the mirror.
It does. It absolutely does. But you have to think about what you're up against. You are trying to overwrite biological programming that has been running on default for 200,000 years.
That's a fair point.
You can't just have the intellectual insight once. You need massive brute force repetition to actually hack the system and create new neural pathways.
Okay, let's move to section 3 then. We've analyzed the fear, we know the truths about it. Now let's talk about tools, specifically words. The 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu calls this section the power of vocabulary.
This is where we get into the idea that your language literally shapes your reality. It sounds a bit esoteric, but for a business owner, it's incredibly practical. The specific words you use both in your own head and in your meetings define your perceived limitations.
The guide highlights a few very specific linguistic shifts. Let's maybe role-play these a bit so we can really hear the difference. The biggest one it focuses on is changing I can't to I won't.
Okay, hit me with a typical solopreneur. I can't.
Okay, I can't charge $200 an hour for my services. The market is too crowded. I just can't do it.
Okay, so just hear the energy of that. I can't. It immediately positions you as a victim of circumstance. You're helpless against these powerful market forces.
Right. It implies a physical impossibility, like I can't fly by flapping my arms. It feels like a solid wall.
Exactly. Now try switching it to I won't. Say this sentence. I won't charge $200 an hour because I'm afraid of the pushback I might get from my current clients.
Ooh, okay. I won't charge $200 an hour because I'm afraid. That feels really different. It feels much more uncomfortable.
Why does it feel uncomfortable?
Because it puts the responsibility back on me.
It acknowledges that this is a choice. You are not physically unable to go into your Stripe account and change a number. You are choosing not to do it because you are prioritizing your fear of an awkward conversation over your desire for more revenue.
And if it's a choice, then I have the power to make a different choice.
Exactly. I won't empowers you. You can say, I won't until today.
Outside.
I can't slams the door shut. I won't. Just leaves it closed until you decide you're ready to open it. It's a massive shift in agency.
That's huge. Okay, what about the next one? I should versus I could.
I should is a guilt word. It's a word of judgment. I should be posting on TikTok. I should be networking more. I should be waking up at 5 a.m.
It just creates this heavy, draining feeling of obligation. It implies you're failing by not doing it, which kills your motivation.
Now, I could be on TikTok. How does that feel?
It feels like an option. It restores it to a strategic choice.
Right. I could be on TikTok, but I have decided that my time is better spent writing long-form content for LinkedIn, given that my target audience is B2B executives. See the difference?
Yeah. One is guilt and shame, and the other is executive decision-making. It turns you from a guilty employee into a CEO who is consciously allocating their limited resources.
That's it, exactly.
Now, let's talk about it's a problem versus it's an opportunity. This one feels a little bit like cliche corporate speak to me. Oh, we don't have problems here, only opportunities. It makes me want to roll my eyes a little.
I get that completely. It sounds like something on a cheesy motivational poster from the 90s. But cliches often become cliches for a reason. They contain a kernel of truth, and they work if you apply them mechanically, not just as a platitude.
The source gives a really strong modern example with Airbnb again during the COVID pandemic. Let's look at the mechanics of that.
Okay, so when COVID hit in 2020, Airbnb's global bookings dropped by 80% in a matter of weeks. That is, by any objective measure, a problem,
Yeah.
a massive existential company-killing problem. If they had stayed in that problem frame of mind, what's the conversation in the boardroom? It's about layoffs, it's about bankruptcy, it's about protecting cash, it's about panic. It's entirely defensive.
And I'm sure they had those conversations.
Of course. But they also forced the linguistic shift. They asked the question, where is the opportunity here? That question forces your brain to scan for solutions, not just to dwell on threats.
And what opportunity did they find in a global travel shutdown?
They realized that people couldn't fly to Paris anymore, but they were desperate to get out of their tiny city apartments. They realized remote work was suddenly universal. People wanted to drive 2 hours to a cabin in the woods. They wanted to stay for a month and work from a different location.
So the opportunity wasn't global travel, it was local travel and long-term stays.
Exactly. And they pivoted the entire platform, the search algorithms, the homepage design, the marketing campaigns, to highlight nearby getaways and monthly rentals. That pivot didn't just save the company. It set them up for their massive IPO.
That's incredible. So for the solopreneur listening, if you lose your biggest client tomorrow, the problem frame is, I'm screwed. I've lost half my income.
And the opportunity frame is, okay, this hurts, but I now have 20 hours a week of my time back. What high-value service could I build and launch in that time that I've been putting off for years? It redirects your energy from worry to creation.
Now, we have to address the elephant in the room when it comes to vocabulary, the internal vocabulary, the voice in our heads, the chatterbox.
The internal critic, that relentless voice that says, you're a fraud, this is definitely going to fail. Who do you think you are to be charging this much?
How do we handle that? Because you can't just fire the voice in your head. It has tenure.
The 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu offers a really crucial insight here. It says you have to recognize what that voice actually is. It is a biological safety mechanism. It is not the Oracle of Delphi telling you the objective truth about the future.
It's just my lizard brain trying to keep me safe in the cave so the bear doesn't eat me.
That's all it is. So the technique is not to fight it. Don't get into an argument with it. That just gives it more energy. The technique is to observe it and label it.
Like a scientist observing a specimen.
Exactly. Think of it like a spam filter in your email inbox. You see the subject line, urgent, you are going to fail. And you just recognize it as spam. You can even say to it, there's the chatterbox again. Thank you for sharing, but I'm not buying that today. You acknowledge it, and then you let it go.
You don't click the link?
You never click the link. And part of that is asking yourself about the hidden payoffs. Why do we listen to the chatterbox? Why do we choose to stay stuck in fear?
Well, because it's comfortable. It's safe.
Right. There is a payoff to playing small.
Oh.
The payoff is less stress, no risk of public failure, No one laughing at your idea. You get to keep your potential perfectly intact without ever having to risk it in the real world.
You have to make a conscious decision. Is the payoff of that safety worth more to you than the potential reward of growth?
That's the decision point right there. Which brings us perfectly to section 4, taking total responsibility. Now, this can sound a bit like a stern lecture, but the source frames it as the ultimate power move
And why is that?
because it completely eliminates victimhood. And let's be really clear about the definition here because people get this wrong. Responsibility does not mean blame. It does not mean it's my fault.
Okay.
It means responsibility, the ability to respond.
I like that distinction. So it's not saying it's my fault the economy crashed. That would be narcissistic.
Exactly. It's saying the economy crashed and I am 100% responsible for how my business responds to that new reality.
The solopreneur trap here is blaming all the external factors. And in this day and age, the biggest scapegoat has to be the algorithm.
Oh, absolutely. We hear it constantly. My reach on Instagram is down because they changed the algorithm. My email open rates are down because Gmail's spam filters got more aggressive. I'm doomed.
And think about what happens when you say that. If it's the algorithm's fault, who has all the power?
The algorithm. Some faceless engineer in Silicon Valley.
And you are completely helpless. You're a victim. But if you take total responsibility, the entire conversation changes.
How so?
If you say, my open rates are down, I am responsible for my email deliverability, then you can actually get to work.
Yeah.
You start asking questions like, have I cleaned my list recently? Have I changed my subject line strategy? Have I properly authenticated my domain with DKIM and SBF records?
That is a much more painful and difficult shift. Because blaming Google feels easy and requires no work. Figuring out what DKIM records are feels hard and technical. It is hard, but it is empowering.
Yeah.
Because if it is your responsibility, you can fix it. If it is their fault, all you can do is wait for a rescue that is never going to come.
The same logic applies to hiring, right? We love to blame our contractors or freelancers. I can't scale my agency because I just can't find good help. They all lack initiative.
That's a classic. If you say they lack initiative, you're a victim of the modern labor market. But if you take responsibility, you have to ask the harder question. How has my leadership style created a culture where people wait to be told what to do?
Have I not empowered them with enough information? Is my onboarding process unclear? Am I micromanaging them so much that they are afraid to take initiative?
It stings to ask those questions.
Yeah.
It really does. But it gives you the keys to the car. You can fix your leadership. You cannot fix the entire labor market.
But the source is also very clear about the flip side of this, which is the importance of self-compassion.
Yes, this is crucial. Taking responsibility is not the same as shaming yourself. Saying, I'm such an idiot for hiring that person is not helpful. That just paralyzes you with shame. That's level 2 ego fear coming back in.
So what's the healthy, responsible stance?
The healthy stance is to be a scientist, not a judge. I made that hiring decision with the information I had at the time. It turned out to be the wrong call. I now have new information. I will choose differently next time. It's clinical. It's about data, not emotion.
A scientist doesn't get mad at the petri dish for growing mold. They just note the conditions, change the temperature, and run the experiment again.
That is the perfect analogy.
The source suggests a challenge here, an exercise. Go 1 full week without criticizing anyone or complaining about anything.
It is so much harder than a juice cleanse.
I can imagine. No complaining about the weather, no complaining about the slow Wi-Fi or the traffic.
None of it. And just notice where all that mental energy goes. When you stop the constant low-level complaining about the competition or the government or your clients, you suddenly have this huge reservoir of energy available. And you can redirect 100% of that energy into solving problems inside your own business.
Energy conservation for proactive problem solving. I like that. Okay, section 5. We're talking about building resilience and specifically positive input systems.
This is where we get into the territory that can make some very serious analytical business people start to roll their eyes a little bit. We're talking about affirmations, positive thinking.
Yeah, I have to be honest, when I read the part in the summary about looking in the mirror and saying, I am powerful, my internal skepticism radar went off. It feels a bit, I don't know, like a Saturday morning cartoon. Does this stuff actually work for serious business people, or is it just feel-good fluff?
I'm really glad you pushed back on that because it's a valid reaction. It does sound ridiculous on the surface. If you told a cynical investment banker to do this, they would laugh you out of the room. But the source material describes a physical demonstration from the original book. a muscle test from the field of kinesiology.
Okay, walk us through that demonstration.
So you have someone hold their arm out straight to the side, parallel to the floor. You tell them to resist as hard as they can while you push down on their wrist. First, you have them say out loud, "I am a weak and worthless person." You push down, and their arm almost always drops easily. The resistance is surprisingly low.
Okay.
Then you have them reset. You have them say, "I am a powerful and magnificent person." You push down with the exact same amount of force, but this time their arm holds firm. And physical resistance increases measurably, instantly.
So our words, our thoughts, actually have a direct and immediate effect on our physical biology.
Instantly. The subconscious mind does not have a sense of humor. It doesn't judge truth from fiction. It just records the input. If you repeatedly tell it, "I am weak, I am a failure," your nervous system literally downregulates. If you feed it, "I am strong, I am capable," it upregulates. You are effectively hacking your own operating system with language.
So for the solopreneur who doesn't have a boss patting them on the back or a team cheering them on, we have to consciously design an environment that feeds us these "I am strong" inputs.
You have to build systems. Willpower is a finite resource. It will run out by 10 a.m. You cannot will yourself to be positive if you are marinating in negativity all day.
The 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu suggests a very specific morning routine to combat this.
Yes, and the most crucial rule is this. Do not check your email or the news first thing in the morning.
That's a hard one.
It's so hard, but it's so important. If you wake up and the first thing you do is scroll through the news or your inbox, you are letting the world's chaos, other people's emergencies, dictate your mood for the entire day. You are starting in a reactive, defensive, fearful state.
So what's the alternative?
Start with positive input. Put on a guided meditation. Listen to affirmations on an app. Listen to an upbeat educational podcast like this one. Put Post-it notes on your monitor with those 5 truths we talked about. It sounds cheesy, but if your eyes glance past a quote about resilience 50 times a day, it eventually sinks into your subconscious.
It's like ambient reprogramming for your brain.
That's exactly what it is. And there's a specific mantra that the source material quotes in the book.
Yes. I am powerful and I am loved. I am powerful and I am loving. I am powerful and I love it.
Now, dealing with the cringe factor for a moment. What's the practical application? How do we actually use this without feeling silly?
The instruction in the guide is to repeat it 25 times in the morning, 25 times at noon, and 25 times at night. Again, it's about brute force repetition. You are trying to drown out the negative chatterbox that has been running on a loop in your head for decades. You have to shout louder than the doubt.
I might try that in the car so my neighbors don't think I've lost it, but I do see the logic.
The car is a great place, and that's another point the guide makes. Use your transition times, your commute, your time at the gym, the time while you're washing dishes. Stop listening to the anxiety-inducing news and start listening to business biographies. Listen to stories of people who have overcome immense failure. You have to consciously curate your inputs.
Replace news anxiety with input learning.
I love that. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We've gone through the framework, the truths, the vocabulary, the responsibility, and the systems. Now let's bring it all home. Section 6, the action plan. We promised a checklist at the beginning.
Let's summarize the key takeaways from the guide into 5 immediate, concrete steps for the listener. This isn't theory. This is your homework for today.
Okay, lay it on us. Step 1.
Inventory your fear. Sit down today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. List out every single fear that is holding your business back. Categorize them into level 1, 2, and 3, and most importantly for each one, write down or say out loud the sentence, "I can handle it." Actually visualize yourself handling the worst-case scenario. Play the movie in your head of you surviving the failure and getting back up.
Great first step. Step 2.
Audit your language. For the next 7 days, be a hawk. Catch yourself every time you say "I can't" and consciously switch it to "I won't." Catch yourself describing something as a problem and force yourself to rephrase it as an opportunity. Just notice how your energy and sense of agency shifts.
That's step 3.
Expand your comfort zone. Every single day, do one small thing that scares you a little. Send a cold DM to an idol on social media. Ask for a discount on your coffee just to see what happens. Post a video of yourself talking to the camera for 30 seconds. You just need to stretch that rubber band of courage a tiny bit every day so it doesn't snap when you need to make a really big leap.
Love that. Step 4.
Morning repetition. Do not skip this. It's the most important part. Before you look at your phone, repeat the 5 truths about fear. Repeat the "I am powerful" affirmation. Prime your brain for courage and resilience before the world has a chance to infect it with fear.
And the final one, step 5.
Stop waiting. Identify one action, just one, that you are delaying because you're waiting to feel more confident, and do it today. Send the scary email. Publish the blog post. Launch the good enough version of your landing page. Do the thing to generate the confidence, not the other way around.
That is a rock-solid, actionable list. And for people who want to go even deeper, the 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu also recommends some additional reading that complements these ideas.
Yes, it mentions The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is fantastic for learning how to stay in the present moment so you don't spiral into future-based anxiety. Grit by Angela Duckworth is essential for understanding the power of perseverance through challenges. And of course, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, which is the practical, tactical playbook for acting before you feel ready.
Fantastic recommendations. Going through this entire deep dive, it's making me realize that entrepreneurship, especially solopreneurship, isn't really about business models or marketing funnels or exit strategies at its core.
No, not at all. It's about who you become in the process. The business is just the gym. It's the vehicle for your own personal growth, and fear is your personal trainer. If you aren't feeling it, you aren't lifting heavy enough. You're not growing.
That is a beautiful thought to end on. We really hope this deep dive into the 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu helps you navigate your own fears and maybe, just maybe, make that jump you've been thinking about.
Absolutely. The world needs that thing you're building. Don't let fear keep it locked away inside you.
Thank you for joining us today. Visit the 1-Hour Guide website for more business insights. Let's learn and grow together.